I was wrong about my weight loss time frame, and that maybe I should have kept a journal and none of this would have happened. But I really wanted to forget that point in time frame in my life, and we're going to unpack all that. Welcome to my channel. My name is Chad. I've been doing the carnivore diet for over 3.5 years now. Lost over 100 pounds, experienced incredible benefits to my well-being. No more joint pains, my sleep is amazing. I actually get up now with the sun at like 5 a.m. without any problem, and I'm up. No more joint pains, no more waking the old body up, I'm just up. It is incredible. I really hope you get the same benefits I have, and I'd love to hear your stories on your carnivore journey as well. I hope you understand at this point, the end result is the same. My timeline was just way faster than I remember. In some of my previous videos, I did mention the 1 year mark, and it actually turns out it was, I think, more about 6 to 7 months for the majority of the weight. And at 1 year, I was actually down to that 178 where I thought it was the 200. But I do remember that last 20 plus pounds took quite a while. And how this all came about, it's kind of interesting. I'm doing a video on my first year and then my second year and third year doing this carnivore journey. Now, that first year and before that, I really wanted to forget this part of my life. I hated myself, I beat myself up, and I think some of you can relate to this kind of thing happening. So I think this is why I kind of just buried it away and forgot about the actual correct timeline. So as I was building this video here for the first year, I was going through and trying to find some photos of myself, and well, before, when I was overweight, maybe like you, I was really good at hiding from photos or not being in them or making sure I was behind something or someone. And then I came across the Christmas photos and everything just clicked. It was the oddest thing, like my memory just went back on. I was in the clothes I bought when I hit 100 and basically 78 pounds. Now my plateau is still where it's at 1.5 years. So the other thing I decided to do is dig up when I went into the hospital, because I remember that quite well. My gallbladder had given out. And that was May 26th. For some reason, again, my memory put this about 3 months later. I do remember that quite well because I was just over 220 pounds on their scale, and I thought, wow, I'm down 50 pounds from when I quit weighing myself, but I was elated about that. Now, at that time, my goal was just 200 pounds. Basically, I wanted to get under 200 pounds, and I was hoping I could get to 195. Now, my plateau, as I call it, is still in the same spot. And I remember this clearly because, again, after that first year, I was clear. But up to that point, at that 1 year, when I was down to my 178 pounds that I never thought would happen, I do think it was just this mental shutdown. Now, the plateau for me was basically no more change. My weight was stable. Everything was stable. And the biggest reason I remember it is my birthday's in July, so I kind of take that as the 6-month mark. And also it's allergy season from that spring up through summer where I'm so bad. And I remember that was the first year I wasn't really having allergies. Might have had a little bit more then than I do now, but I mean, it was phenomenal. Not only was I skinny again, not only were my joints not aching again. Since I was about 20 or 30, I had no more allergies. And I had those when I was 20 or 30. So this was something new. And I remember that quite well. I know my mind truly took those months away from myself and suppressed them. It's quite interesting how your mind can do things like that. And then all of a sudden, something like that one photo can just trigger and bring it back up. To me, it's like you forget a whole bunch of your earlier life, and then maybe a song comes up and all of a sudden everything comes back. And this is where I want to talk a little bit about this mental state. Now, I'm a move forward kind of guy. And I said in the emotions video, I used to beat myself up over things that happen. Now, I'm still critical of myself, but I can now let it go, and I really just don't have this upset feeling at myself. But back then, I wanted to get away from the old me and pretend it never happened. I hated myself. I mean, I truly just hated where I was in life. I was tired of being overweight, tired of being tired all the time, tired of being sick all the time, just tired of allergies, tired of going outside and just doing daily tasks, getting the mail and being all sweaty and everything else, trying to go to the store and not even be able to walk through stores without having massive allergy attacks. I could literally not walk through REI or IKEA without breaking into a rash and sweat and severe allergies from whatever was in the air or on the clothes. I was that bad, and it was pretty horrible. And I know that a lot of times for people, depending on what they're going through, their mind is very good at blocking that. And that, again, is just something that I'm finding really interesting now. I was surrounded with love from my family, and I loved my family. I love my dogs. I mean, I even love the squirrels and the birds that we feed all the time outside. So it's not that I was filled with hate. It's just that I had it pointed in toward me and that physical condition. And again, I don't know if this is something any of you can relate to. If so, I would love to hear about it down below, whether you're still going through it or you were like, yeah, and Carnivore is basically taking that away from me. But one of the things that really stuck out to me, I had a situation. I was in the park with my boy. This was about 10 years ago. And I remember this one little kid, and he pointed at me and he goes, "Hey, Dad, that guy's fat just like you." And I laughed. And you could tell the dad was horrified and said sorry. But I did think it was funny because I love how kids say things like that. But I also thought, well, I'm not the fat guy. That guy's the fat guy. And of course, I think we both were. Now, one thing that gets me through this is my faith. I don't really bring this up too much, but I'm a very biblical-based Christian with strong faith. So I know I never would have hurt myself, as that just destroys those who you love and love you and surrounds you. So just to be clear, when I say I hated myself, it was more this, I should have been able to control my eating. I should have seen it more and everything else. So it was definitely not this like physical danger kind of thing. I think that's important to point out. So I did know I would get out of it, but how? I had no idea. And I tried a lot of things. I know my wife had brought up the blood type diet. Parts of it make sense, but it doesn't work. Tried to eat the veggie garbage. Tried the juicing the veggie garbage. And oh man, talk about stomach pains from juicing. That was the worst. Yeah, that fat, sick, nearly dead video, like I said before, kept me fat, made me feel sick, and made me literally want to die. It was that painful kind of thing. And then I found keto when another friend started that. But I watched him for a while. I was kind of like, what the heck is this keto thing? It just sounded weird how you got to get into ketosis and all this other kind of stuff. But as I watched him and he started doing well, I said, okay, how do we do this? And we all know this. Only you can make yourself start. You can't tell a friend to do this and he'll do it. They have to want to do it. And I hit that rock bottom and had to start. Now, my issue is that I hated vegetables, and I still do, and I'm not a fan of fruit at all. The only fruits I ever liked were local ones to the islands, so pineapple and apple bananas, and sometimes strawberry guavas that we would pick while hunting. So it was basically nuts. Mac nuts, coconuts, and pistachios are probably my three biggest ones. And yeah, I ate way too much almond flour and keto and all the keto junk. And I forgot how long I did the keto, maybe about 6 months, and it just wasn't really working. I lost some weight, but I just had all the pains, joint ache, everything else that, of course, all that almond flour and other junk does. But I'm going to cover that in another video. The carnivore diet came along right after that, as my buddy was finding the same thing, that keto was kind of working, but he wanted it quicker. So I found out about this carnivore diet. I said, 2020, I'm going to start this and get into shape. And it truly changed my life. I've kind of had this little phrase that's like, keto was the door, and carnivore was the key that opened that door to health. Of course, it was like, how do I do this carnivore? I just eat meat? Oh, I can eat cheese, I can eat eggs, I can eat all this other stuff as long as it's animal. So I went on YouTube, found Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Sean Baker, a few others like Jason Fung, but there were very few other carnivores out at that time. Dr. Chafee wasn't around, and so many others weren't around. So I was truly kind of going blind. And I gotta say, it's probably why I ate way too much cheese. But I kept watching those folks and others, which brings me to now. And I think this is the important part of this video. It's this mental problem that we go through, or these emotion problems that we go through that are hard. Those are the hard things. Me suppressing my memory because I hated myself so bad. And again, I know some of you can relate to this. I also think eating meat is easy. Eating just beef, salt, and then drinking water. It takes a little bit of discipline, but again, it's very easy. The shopping's easy, the preparation's easy, and you know what to do. It's in front of you. But the mental part of breaking those old habits are what's so hard. So I do think the mental part of this diet is skipped over a lot, and people nitpick about what you're eating. And I've got videos on that, on how to prep for this in the first 3 months, 6 months. And again, I'm going to have a 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year experience video for you. I don't know what the 4th year is going to bring, but I'm sure it's just going to keep getting better. Now, I really hope sharing what I've gone through with this might touch somebody. Just please leave a comment in there and share, and I'd love to hear your story. This great mental clarity we hear about is also emotional. And I do mention emotions a lot. As I say, eating meat is easy. It's breaking the habits that are hard. And to me, that's that mental side of it that I think gets glossed over with, oh, you're going to have coffee. Oh, you're not carnivore, this or that. Oh, you can't have spices. You can have spices. Oh, well, it has to be raw dairy. I think those things are kind of like whatever at this point. You've got to break those old habits and start. Me literally suppressing my memory so bad that I had basically kind of forgotten those points until that photo clicked and then it all came back to me. It's kind of mind-blowing how powerful the mind is. And we know people with trauma, and I'm not putting this as a trauma that was bad. It was just something I wanted to wipe from my memory. And my brain gladly said, okay, wiped for those first times, and the time frame was basically off, and I was kind of trying to recall by what I remembered. But again, the point is, I'm here now. It was way faster than I thought. These days, as I watch so many great new channels, and it seems there's a lot of them in the last year that have popped up with people sharing their stories, I think, man, I wish I had this many people sharing what they've done, how it's working for them, the falls they've had, the successes they've had, that some keep doing the coffee and refuse to give it up. Some have, some haven't. I mean, there's just so many great variables, and it would have really helped me. So this is, again, where I'm at today, that I never thought I would speak up because of, again, what is it? My own pride, arrogance, embarrassment, all wrapped into a big mess. Again, I just wanted to bury that point in my life, leave it behind, and move on. And I am a very much move-on person. It's why I didn't have a journal or a diary. And looking back, it would have been nice now to share with you folks. But again, can't go back in the past. If I did, I'd be buying a lot of Bitcoin. But something in me said, no, speak up. But that other little guy on the other shoulder said, no, you want to put your old life behind. Then, of course, the other guy would say, no, speak up. And you know the fight that happens inside you. Busy with life and work, one kid in college, one in high school age, and we homeschool. Well, how this all came about, well, I was watching Dave Mack at No Carb Life and Dr. Chafee, and something they said just triggered me to say, okay, I need to speak up. And it was basically exactly that. I think Chafee said, we need more folks speaking up. And I think it was too, like Dave Mack said the same thing, yeah. And also, this isn't a competition. We need these people speaking up. There's enough vegans out there that speak up. I think there's a lot more carnivores out there than we think, and we need to speak up and be a voice. Since kind of jumping in this YouTube thing, the community is great. I've met so many great other carnivore people that is just truly amazing. I mean, I just can't say how great, level-headed they are. And the thing I love is they're all in these different stages. Some have lost a lot of weight. Some are losing the weight still. Some are starting. Now, some are kind of ketovore, and some aren't. There's older married couples. There's some like me, now that I'm 60, above that age, even older. And there's some that are very young and really getting into a whole bunch of other things. They want to lift and, build these incredible bodies. It's just this great community. Lean on that. I think all of us, and I can say this for all of us, if you have an issue or a problem and you're curious and you can relate to somebody, whether that be they're a male, female, or their age or something they've said, just reach out. Reach out in the comments. Reach out however you can. And I bet you're going to get a lot of help and a lot of support. So now that my hyper focus is kicking in, I really hope to do as much as I can to share and help. I'd love to hear any ideas, questions, suggestions, anything you would like me to cover or talk to. Again, I've been doing this for 3.5 years, and it's August of 2023 in case somebody's watching this later. Let's hope it's still around. And 3 of those without a gallbladder. As a 5'11", 60-year-old who's now maintained a 178-pound body for the last 2.5 years with ease, the same as I was in my 20s and 30s. To me, that's pretty life-changing. It's something the doctor said would not happen. You're never going to get that body back. This is getting old. Get used to getting up and being sore. Get used to getting up in the morning and having to wake your joints up. You're not going to be sitting cross-legged on the floor, watching a movie, playing with your dogs, whatever else. It's all not true. And it's all just because of eating a carnivore diet. I hope you found this helpful. And if you did, subscribe if you haven't. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. Stay carnivorous, my friends. And hui ho. And in case you're wondering when I say hui ho, if you hadn't looked it up, it's Hawaiian for till we meet again.